Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talk EMA.
This is your cozy place where you can learn easy English through real-life conversations and also improve your life step by step.
I'm EMA, and we are really happy that you decided to press play and spend some time learning with us today.
And I'm Jack, and yes, we truly appreciate that you are here, even if you are listening in a room that you secretly hope no one else sees right now.
That is actually the perfect place to start today's conversation.
Because today we are talking about rooms, stuff, and that familiar feeling of looking around and thinking, why is everything everywhere?
When Jack mentioned rooms and stuff, the first thing that came to my mind was his famous chair.
Oh yes, the legendary chair.
I have to ask, is it still just a normal chair, or has it officially become a wardrobe for clothes?
Honestly, it is no longer just a chair. It has become a full-time wardrobe.
That poor chair probably has not seen sunlight for a long time.
I'm afraid that is completely true.
And I am sure that right now, someone listening to us just looked at their own chair.
Yes, if your chair is also carrying a mountain of clothes, do not worry.
You are definitely listening to the right episode today.
But the problem is not only our rooms.
It also happens on our phones.
There are notifications everywhere.
Messages, apps, reminders, and endless things we tell ourselves we will read later.
Sometimes you open your eyes in the morning and your life already feels full before you even stand up.
Your phone shows messages.
Your calendar shows plans.
Your mind remembers things you need to fix.
You suddenly remember things you need to buy.
All of this happens before your day even begins.
And at the same time, you feel tired.
You might even ask yourself a strange question.
You think, why do I feel so exhausted? I haven't even started my day yet.
If that feeling sounds familiar to you, then you already understand why we chose today's topic.
Today, we want to talk about a very simple sentence that many people have heard before.
The sentence is, less is more.
When I first heard that sentence, I didn't really believe it.
I had the same reaction. I thought, less is just less.
And more is more.
That seemed like the end of the story.
But when you start looking at real life more carefully, something interesting appears.
Sometimes less random stuff can actually bring more calm.
Sometimes less pressure creates more energy.
Sometimes less noise gives your mind more space to think clearly.
And we are not talking about a perfect lifestyle that looks like a picture on Pinterest.
We're talking about normal people like us.
People who are simply trying to create a little breathing space in a world that constantly tells us to add more things.
In today's episode, we just want to sit together and talk like two friends.
We want to explore why humans always want more things.
We will also talk about how having too much can sometimes make life feel heavy and stressful.
And we will discuss how choosing a little bit less can actually give us more freedom and peace of mind.
While you listen to this conversation, you are not only hearing ideas.
You are also learning real conversational English.
English that you can use when you talk about your room,
Your money,
your time,
your phone habits,
your stress.
and even your study routines.
Everything we discuss today will be in English that you can actually use in everyday life.
This episode is designed for learners around the B2 level.
That means the language will feel a little richer and more natural.
But we will still speak clearly and repeat important ideas so they are easy to understand.
Whenever a new word from our word tour appears for the first time, we will explain it in simple English.
If you are a strong B1 learner, you can still stay with us.
Some parts might feel a little challenging.
But that challenge is actually good for your learning.
You can always listen again later and understand even more the second time.
Later in this episode, we will also have a calm word tour.
During that part, we will slow down the conversation.
We will review several powerful words and phrases from today's discussion.
We will explain each one clearly.
And we will give examples so you can use those words in your own life.
Before we move into the deeper part of the conversation, we have a small request.
If you enjoy learning and thinking with us, please like this episode and subscribe to the channel.
You can also share this episode with a friend.
Maybe you have a friend who always says, "I really need to clean my room," but somehow they never actually start cleaning.
Your likes, comments, and shares help more English learners discover this podcast.
They also tell YouTube that this kind of content is helpful for people learning real English.
And we truly enjoy reading your comments. So today, we want to ask you two simple questions.
First question.
When you look at your room and your phone right now, what do you feel like?
Do you feel more like a minimalist? Or do you feel more like a person living inside a storage unit full of things?
Now, here's the second question.
What is one thing you want to reduce this month?
It could be online shopping.
It could be endless scrolling on social media,
Maybe it is late-night snacks.
or saying yes to every invitation and plan.
Just choose one small thing. For example, you could write something like this in the comments.
I feel like a storage unit person right now. This month, I want to reduce late-night scrolling.
Or you might write something different. You might write, I am almost a minimalist.
But I want to reduce buying things that I don't really need.
Whatever your answer is, we would really love to hear it.
Your comment might even inspire another learner to start making small changes in their life.
We always enjoy reading your comments.
Your comments help us understand what your daily life looks like.
They also help us understand what kind of English lessons you really need from us.
That is why your messages and ideas are very important to our podcast.
Now, let us begin today's deeper conversation.
First, we want you to imagine a simple situation.
Imagine tomorrow morning when your alarm clock rings.
You slowly open your eyes.
But before you even move your body, your mind already feels busy.
Your brain starts thinking about many things immediately.
You remember messages you have not answered yet.
You think about reminders and tasks waiting for you.
You remember things that need to be fixed.
You also remember things you want to buy later.
All these thoughts appear before you even leave your bed.
If this situation sounds very familiar to you, then today's episode is exactly for you.
So let us begin with an important question.
If simple and quiet moments feel so good, then why do we still chase more and more things?
That is a very interesting question.
And honestly, it is a little strange when we think about it.
For me, one of the biggest reasons is comparison.
I completely agree with that idea.
People often compare their lives with other people's lives.
We see what our friends have.
We also see what people post online.
Suddenly, our normal life begins to feel small.
Our simple life starts to feel like it is not enough.
Maybe you know this feeling very well.
Imagine that your day was perfectly fine.
Everything was normal and peaceful.
But then you open Instagram.
Suddenly, your life begins to look boring in your own eyes.
You see people traveling to beautiful places.
You see new clothes, new phones, and exciting experiences.
Without thinking too much, you start planning new things.
Sometimes you even start buying things you did not really need.
You do this not because you truly want them.
You do it because you want to keep up with other people.
The phrase keep up with means trying to stay at the same level as someone else.
For example, the same phone,
The same clothes.
or the same lifestyle.
Imagine your friend buys a brand new phone.
You say, "I'm happy for you."
but at the same time, you secretly start thinking something else.
You might think, now I suddenly hate my own phone.
And this feeling is not only about phones.
It also happens with travel,
With restaurants,
with fashion and clothes.
even hobbies can become part of this comparison.
The truth is that we live in a strong consumer culture.
This idea is called consumerism.
Consumerism is a lifestyle where buying things becomes the answer to many feelings.
When you feel sad, the solution is to buy something.
When you feel happy, you celebrate by buying something.
When you feel bored, you open an online shop and buy something again.
At first, this can feel exciting and fun.
New things can give us a small moment of happiness.
But when we repeat this behavior again and again, something changes.
Instead of feeling satisfied, we start feeling overwhelmed.
The word overwhelmed means feeling that there is simply too much of everything,
Too much information.
too many choices.
Too many things to organize and manage.
When this happens, your brain begins to feel heavy and tired.
I once experienced this feeling with my clothes.
What happened?
One morning, I was running late.
You were probably trying to get ready quickly.
Yes, but I stood in front of my wardrobe and said something funny.
What did you say?
I said, I have nothing to wear.
That is a very famous sentence.
The funny part is that I was standing in front of many clothes.
So the problem was not a lack of clothes.
Exactly.
The real problem was too many choices.
My brain was tired of making decisions.
So maybe this is our first important idea today.
We want more things because the world around us pushes us to compare and buy.
But very often, more things turn into too much.
And too much eventually becomes stress.
There is another important word that describes this situation very well.
That word is clutter.
Clutter means having too many things in one space.
The place looks crowded and messy.
It's not exactly dirty.
It's just full of too many objects.
Think about your desk,
Or your bag.
or even the photo gallery on your phone.
Usually, it's not one big disaster.
Instead, it's many small items that don't really have a proper place.
The difficult part is that clutter doesn't stay only in the room.
Slowly, it also moves into your mind.
It's almost like your brain also has a room.
In that room, there's a floor full of worries.
There's a table full of notifications.
There's a chair full of other people's problems.
And slowly, every corner becomes full.
My brain definitely has a chair covered with tasks that say I will do it later.
My brain has the same chair.
And this is the moment when the idea less is more begins to make sense.
When I clean just one small space, something interesting happens.
What do you feel?
It feels like my mind also becomes clearer.
Almost like opening a window in a dark room.
A little fresh air enters your thoughts.
Maybe for you, this space could be your desk,
Or your phone's home screen.
or even the kitchen counter in your house.
One small place without clutter can change how your entire day feels.
I remember a moment when this idea became very real for me.
When did that happen?
It happened during a trip.
What kind of trip?
I traveled for 10 days with only one backpack.
That sounds very different from normal travel.
Usually, I pack like I'm moving to another planet.
That sounds dramatic.
I bring 3 pairs of shoes.
That is already a lot.
I also bring emergency clothes that I never actually use.
That happens to many people.
And of course, I pack many cables just in case.
But this time you decided something different.
Yes, I decided to downsize.
Downsize means making something smaller or simpler.
In my case, it meant taking a much smaller suitcase.
How did it feel at the beginning?
Honestly, the first day I felt a little nervous.
What made you nervous?
I kept thinking, what if I need something that I left at home?
That is a very common worry.
But after 2 days, something surprising happened.
What changed?
I began to feel light and relaxed
Why did you feel that way?
because I did not waste time choosing between many clothes.
You simply wore what you had.
Yes, I wore it, washed it, and wore it again.
That sounds simple and peaceful.
Exactly. My brain finally had more freedom.
Instead of managing things, you could enjoy your trip. Wow, that story is very interesting to me.
Why do you think it is interesting?
Because nothing really big changed in your life.
That is true.
You were still in the same city.
Yes, I was.
You were still the same person.
Exactly.
The only thing that changed was the number of things you carried with you.
And surprisingly, when the number of things changed, my mental energy also changed.
That is very powerful when you think about it.
Yes, for the first time, it felt like my things were helping me.
Instead of controlling you.
Exactly. They were working for me instead of making my life more complicated.
Maybe some of our listeners have experienced something similar.
I think many people have had this kind of moment.
For example, when you stay in a hotel room during a trip.
Or when you stay in a small Airbnb for a few days.
In those places, you usually have only a few simple things.
Maybe just a bed, a table, a small bag, and a few clothes.
But somehow you feel calmer and more relaxed.
Sometimes you even feel more peaceful than your own home.
And then you return home.
You open the door to your room,
You look around at all your belongings.
and suddenly you think something funny.
You think, who invited all these things into my room?
That moment can be very eye-opening.
I think this is where an important word appears.
Which word are you thinking about?
The word is intentional.
That is a very useful word.
Intentional means doing something on purpose with a clear reason.
It means you choose something carefully,
You are not just following habits.
and you are not just copying what everyone else is doing.
For example, imagine buying one good jacket.
You choose it intentionally because you know you will wear it for many years,
Instead of buying 5 random jackets.
just because they were cheap and on sale.
Another example can be learning English.
Yes, that's a great example.
You might choose 3 learning apps that you truly use every day
Instead of downloading 10 apps that make you feel guilty.
because you never actually use them.
That's the big difference.
When you have fewer things but choose them carefully,
Those things can bring more support
more comfort.
and more joy in your life.
When you start living intentionally, your room begins to feel different.
It starts to feel like your personal space.
Instead of a storage room full of forgotten items.
But reaching that point is not always easy.
The idea of having less sounds nice in theory.
But it becomes difficult when you actually have to remove something.
Yes, that part can be very challenging.
I remember cleaning one of my drawers at home.
What did you find there?
I found an old notebook that I hadn't used for years.
Did you throw it away immediately?
No, I held it and thought something very common.
What did you think?
I thought, I don't use this now, but maybe I'll use it one day.
Ah, yes, the famous one-day idea.
Many people keep things because of that thought.
Sometimes we keep items because we are afraid to let them go.
That is another important phrase.
The phrase, let go.
Letting go means releasing something from your life.
It means you stop holding it. You stop keeping it in your space or in your mind.
This can be about physical objects,
Like old clothes or old gadgets.
but it can also be about ideas and plans.
For example, old goals that no longer fit your life.
Or an old version of yourself that you no longer want to be.
When you finally let go of things you don't need, something special happens.
You gain something very valuable.
That valuable thing is peace of mind.
Peace of mind means your mind feels calm.
Your thoughts feel quiet and safe,
You are not constantly worried.
and you are not constantly overwhelmed.
I once experienced this with my email inbox.
What happened with your email?
For many years, I kept every single email.
That sounds like a lot of messages.
I had old newsletters
Old notifications.
and emails from websites I didn't even remember joining.
That must have been a huge list.
One weekend, I finally decided to clean everything.
That must have taken a long time.
I unsubscribed from many mailing lists,
And deleted many old emails.
thousands of them.
Thousands? That sounds like a digital mountain.
Yes, it really was a mountain.
But how did you feel after finishing?
My inbox suddenly looked very quiet and clean.
That must have felt satisfying.
The next week, I noticed something interesting.
What did you notice?
I checked my email less often.
And you probably felt less stressed.
Exactly. That's what peace of mind feels like.
It's like your brain has fewer voices shouting for attention.
Less noise in your mind.
More silence and calm.
Less stress in your day.
More space to breathe and think.
This idea is connected to another popular concept.
You're talking about minimalism, right?
Yes, exactly.
Many people talk about minimalism these days.
In simple words, minimalism is a lifestyle.
It is a way of living with fewer things.
But those things are chosen with intention,
You keep the items that truly matter to you.
and you let go of the things that do not add value.
But we should explain something important.
Yes, minimalism does not mean living with only one fork and nothing else.
And it does not mean sitting quietly and meditating all day.
Minimalism can look different for different people.
Everyone can create their own version of it.
For example, for you, it might mean fewer weekend plans,
But deeper and more meaningful conversations.
or maybe fewer cheap items.
But a few high-quality things you truly enjoy.
This reminds me of another interesting word.
Which word are you thinking about?
The word is JOMO.
JOMO stands for the joy of missing out.
Many people already know the word FOMO.
FOMO means the fear of missing out,
It happens when you feel worried or sad.
because other people are doing something exciting and you are not there.
JOMO is the opposite feeling.
JOMO means feeling happy about not joining everything,
You say no to a party or an event.
and you feel perfectly happy staying at home.
You might rest
You might read a book
or watch something relaxing.
or simply enjoy a quiet evening.
I actually experienced JOMO last week.
What happened?
My friends went out to a busy place.
But you stayed home.
Yes, I stayed home and cooked some pasta.
That sounds relaxing.
Then I watched one episode of a show.
And went to bed early.
The next morning, something wonderful happened.
You woke up with energy.
Yes, instead of waking up with a headache and feeling tired.
You might have missed some funny stories from your friends.
But you did not miss the good sleep and fresh energy.
Maybe our listeners can try JOMO too.
For example, you could say no to one plan this month.
Especially if you do not really want to go.
Then you can use that time for yourself.
To rest, think, or do something meaningful.
This idea of less is more can also help your English learning.
That is very important for language learners.
Many English learners are not lazy.
They are simply overloaded.
They try to use too many learning tools at the same time.
Some learners have 5 learning apps.
They follow 10 YouTube channels,
They own several textbooks.
and they try to use everything at once.
But sometimes learning becomes easier when you choose less.
Sometimes English learners feel very tired.
Yes, many learners feel tired and also a little guilty.
They feel guilty because they think they did not study enough.
Even though they tried many different learning tools.
This happens because they are using too many things at the same time.
They try many apps.
They follow many YouTube channels,
They open many textbooks.
and their brain becomes overloaded with information.
In this situation, the best solution is often very simple.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is cut back on a few tools.
The phrase cut back means to reduce something.
It means you decide to use something less than before.
For example, you might reduce the number of learning apps you use.
You might choose only 2 or 3 apps instead of 10.
You might also follow fewer YouTube channels.
And spend more time with the channels you really enjoy.
You can also reduce the number of books you study at the same time.
Instead of opening many books, you focus deeply on 1 or 2.
When you cut back on too many tools, something interesting happens.
Your learning becomes calmer and clearer,
You spend less time searching for the perfect method.
and more time actually practicing English.
For example, you might create one simple daily routine.
That routine could be listening to 1 episode of a podcast.
Then pausing the audio to understand the sentences.
After that, you repeat the sentences slowly.
You can also write down a few useful phrases.
When you do this every day, your progress becomes stronger.
The idea is very simple.
Less searching,
More doing.
less confusion,
More progress.
and remember something important.
Less does not mean nothing.
It simply means not doing everything at the same time
It means reducing the noise around your learning.
and focusing on the things that truly help you improve.
So the phrase less is more may not be a magic solution.
But it can be a powerful question you ask yourself.
You can ask, what can I remove from my life?
So there is more space for the things that truly matter.
The answer does not need to be something huge.
It can be a very small change.
Maybe you remove one object from your room.
Maybe you delete 1 app from your phone.
Maybe you cancel one plan that you do not really want.
Or maybe you change 1 small habit.
Each change may be small,
But each change can be intentional.
and slowly those small choices create a big difference.
Your room may start to feel lighter.
Your phone may feel calmer.
Your mind may begin to feel clearer.
Now we are going to slow down the conversation a little more.
It's time for our word tour.
In this part, we review important words from today's episode
We will explain them slowly.
and give examples so you can understand them clearly.
If you want, you can repeat the words with us.
Speaking the words out loud can really help your memory.
But if you prefer to just listen quietly, that's also fine.
Let us begin with our first word,
The first word is clutter.
Clutter means having too many things in one place.
When there is clutter, a space looks messy and crowded.
The place is not necessarily dirty.
It is simply full and not well organized.
For example, someone might say, "There is so much clutter on my desk that I cannot find my notebook."
Another example could be, when I remove clutter from my room, my mind feels calmer.
Now let us repeat the word together.
Clutter.
Clutter.
Slowly again.
Clutter.
Now let us move to the next word.
The second word is consumerism.
Consumerism is a lifestyle where buying things becomes the solution to many feelings.
When someone feels bored, they buy something.
When they feel sad, they buy something.
When they feel happy, they celebrate by buying something.
Consumerism encourages people to always want new things.
For example, someone might say, "Consumerism makes us believe we always need the newest version of everything."
Another example could be, I want to step back from consumerism and enjoy simple things more.
Now repeat the word with us.
Consumerism.
Consumerism.
Slowly again.
Consumerism.
Now we move to the third word.
The third word is downsize.
Downsize means making something smaller.
This can be about many things in life.
For example, you might move to a smaller house.
Or you might reduce the number of items you own.
Someone might say, they decided to downsize and move to a smaller apartment.
Another example could be, "On my last trip, I downsized to one backpack."
Now repeat the word.
Downsize.
Downsize.
Slowly again.
Downsize.
Now we go to the next word.
The next word is intentional.
Intentional means doing something on purpose.
It means you have a clear reason for your action.
You are not just following habits.
And you are not copying other people automatically.
For example, someone might say, "I want to be more intentional about what I buy."
Another example could be, she was intentional with her time and said no to plans that drained her energy.
Now repeat the word.
Intentional.
Intentional.
Slowly again.
Intentional.
Now let us continue with another important word.
The next word is overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed means feeling that there is too much to handle.
Too many tasks.
Too many thoughts.
Too many emotions at the same time.
When someone feels overwhelmed, they may feel stressed and tired.
For example, someone might say, "He felt overwhelmed by all the emails and messages."
Another example could be, when my room is messy, I feel overwhelmed, and I do not know where to start.
Now repeat the word.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
Slowly again.
Overwhelmed.
Now we move to an important phrase.
The phrase is peace of mind.
Peace of mind means feeling calm and safe inside your mind.
You are not constantly worried.
And you are not always feeling stressed.
For example, someone might say, "Having savings in the bank gives her peace of mind."
Another example could be, a clean and simple room can give you peace of mind.
Now repeat the phrase.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
Slowly again.
Peace of mind.
Now we will look at another useful phrase.
The phrase is keep up with.
Keep up with means trying to stay at the same level as someone else.
It can be about lifestyle, work, money, or technology.
For example, someone might say, it is hard to keep up with all the new technology.
Another example could be, he bought a new phone just to keep up with his friends.
Now repeat the phrase.
Keep up with.
Keep up with.
Slowly again.
Keep up with. Now we continue our word tour with another useful phrase.
The phrase is keep up with.
To keep up with someone means trying to stay at the same level as another person.
It can mean having the same things as other people.
It can also mean having a similar lifestyle.
or moving at the same speed in life as someone else.
For example, someone might say, he bought a new phone just to keep up with his friends.
Another example could be trying to keep up with everyone online can make you feel tired and unhappy.
Now, let us repeat the phrase together.
Keep up with.
Keep up with.
Slowly again.
Keep up with.
Now we will move to our next phrase.
The next phrase is cut back on.
Cut back on means to reduce something,
It means you decide to do something less often.
or you decide to use something less than before.
For example, someone might say, I want to cut back on online shopping this month.
Another example could be, she cut back on social media and felt more present in real life.
Now repeat the phrase with us.
Cut back on.
Cut back on.
Slowly again.
Cut back on.
Now we will continue with another helpful phrase.
The phrase is let go of.
Let go of something means to release it,
It means you stop holding it in your life.
and you allow yourself to move forward without it,
This can be about physical things,
like old clothes or old items you no longer use.
but it can also be about ideas or plans.
For example, someone might say, he decided to let go of clothes that he never wore.
Another example could be, sometimes you must let go of old plans that no longer fit your life.
Now repeat the phrase with us.
Let go of.
Let go of.
Slowly again.
Let go of. Now we will continue with another helpful phrase.
The phrase is JOMO.
JOMO stands for joy of missing out.
JOMO means feeling happy when you do not join every event or activity.
Instead of feeling worried about missing something,
You feel comfortable staying home or resting
JOMO means enjoying quiet time.
and protecting your energy.
For example, someone might say, I felt pure JOMO when I canceled the party and stayed home with a book.
Another example could be, sometimes you must let go of old plans that no longer fit your life.
Now repeat the word with us.
JOMO.
JOMO.
Slowly again.
JOMO.
And that brings us to the end of our word tour for today.
You do not need to remember every word perfectly right now.
It is completely fine if you only remember one or two new words.
If one word feels useful for your life, try to use it.
You can say the word quietly in your mind,
You can also write it down in a notebook.
or try using it in a sentence later today.
Sometimes learning just one new word is already a big step forward.
And sometimes one small change in your life can also make a big difference.
Remember our main idea from today.
Less pressure, more progress.
Less noise, more peace of mind.
Maybe tonight when you look at your room,
Or when you check your phone.
you will remember today's conversation.
And maybe you will choose one small thing to reduce.
Just one tiny less.
Maybe one object.
Maybe one app.
Or maybe one habit.
And if you decide to make that small change, please tell us about it.
You can share your idea in the comments.
We truly enjoy reading your thoughts and experiences.
Thank you for spending this time learning with us today.
And thank you for taking care of both your English and your life.
This is Emma,
And this is Jack.
and you have been listening to Talk EMA.
Goodbye, everyone.